In a world of increasing mental health challenges, psychology and faith can both provide tools for healing and wellness. This is the idea behind Journey on My Mind. Each episode, our panel of pastors and therapists sit down together to share their experiences and insights on the modern world's mental health issues: depression, loneliness, aging, addiction, and so much more. Join us now as we explore what it means to thrive at the complex intersection of spirit and psychology.
We just laugh.
There you
listen to it. I'm like,
welcome to the staff meeting.
That's how we're surviving in this world these days.
True.
Yeah. Enough about Journey now.
All right.
Welcome to Journey on My Mind.
Welcome.
How are you, Dave?
Mixed bag.
Mixed bag?
Yeah.
Me too.
Okay.
I'm a mixed bag.
Uh-huh.
I'll try not to cuss on the...
Not today.
Not today?
Not today. I mean, no, it's fine.
That's fine. It's just been a
Whatever
series
you
of
need. Whatever you need,
unfortunate
Dave.
events. I was helping Randy in the gathering space yesterday, and we were trying to take one of the TVs had gone
Blew
bad.
up. Yeah.
So we were taking it down, and it was just the two of us, and it slipped out of my hands, and it
no.
crashed to the floor.
Oh, my
I
gosh.
twisted my ankle and hurt my wrist, and I fell off the ladder. And
So, a metaphor
it
for the
was
summer.
Yeah, I mean-
that is not only a metaphor. It really happened to me,
It's
but
true.
that is how my whole summer has gone since
Oh, my
May.
gosh.
Since May, it's been one
Fun thing after another.
There it is.
Cascading
You
fun
fill in those
thing.
words
Yeah, I'll
for
fill-
me.
I got you.
Yeah,
I got you
yeah.
covered.
It's so bad. But yeah, so I It's been that day, and then we went in to hang it with Edwin. We put up a new one today. Man, that TV was heavy.
Yeah.
Four men and a small chimpanzee. And
I love that movie.
yeah,
That was a good one. I like the sequel
it was
better.
crazy.
Yeah.
It was like, no, you got to go in another inch. Well, it's heavy. Two people on a ladder, one person on a chair, me on the wrong side of that ladder. Nobody
That's
died
hilarious.
though, and the TV is hung.
Good.
So
Well, we're all set.
that's how my day started.
Yeah. Gotcha.
Yeah. How's your day started?
Well, okay. Yeah,
Okay.
The summer's not my favorite.
Yeah.
But the day's been fine.
Yeah.
We want to niche it down. The very
How was your last 5 minutes,
thin
Dave?
slice. The last 5 minutes has been fine listening
Yeah.
to your TV story.
Yeah. That actually made my day better.
Sam, how was your day?
So far, so good.
Good.
Yeah.
Did you
Yeah.
have enough coffee yet?
Well, this is my first, and it's actually a London Fog. If you've not had one, it's a tea latte. Very good.
London Fog?
Yeah, it's kind of been my go-to lately.
Okay. Trying to reduce the coffee intake?
Yeah, I drink a lot of coffee.
You do.
Yeah.
You drink more than I do.
I have people tell me all the time, like, I've never seen you without a drink in your hand. And I'm like, really? Well, here, let me set it down. Anyway, I'm good.
He's got a drink in his hand.
With coffee.
Yeah. Oh, that's it. Well, we're here to discuss other things.
Yeah.
How do you want to lead into this?
Well, we got
Morning.
a question.
Yeah, we did.
And by the way, send questions. We love them.
Yeah.
So, got a question about the topic of church discipline.
We did.
So, I was thinking before we get into church discipline,
We're gonna
maybe
talk
we
out-
should confess something.
Confession time.
Yes. I have a confession.
All right.
It's pretty mild, it's pretty tame,
Okay.
but it's recent. So, I've lived in the Nashville area in Tennessee for 9 years.
Yeah, we moved here about the same time.
Exactly.
Yeah.
I just on Tuesday got my Tennessee driver's license.
Is it your real ID?
I don't even know if it's a real ID.
Oh.
Or not. It might be. I don't
Did
know.
you have to take in like birth certificate?
So were you?
Okay, it might.
So
be
were you
then.
driving without a driver's
No, I
license?
was driving with a North Carolina driver's license.
Oh,
So
okay.
here's the thing. I moved here. My North Carolina license still had a year on it. And
Yep.
I'm like, if they pull me over, it's still a valid license, I guess.
Yeah.
And then it expired, or was getting ready to expire. And I went online just on a kind of like, let me see. I went to the North Carolina site. All I had to do is click renew. And it renewed it for 8 years.
Wow.
So I've been driving around in North Carolina.
North Carolina.
That's my confession. So I'm sure it's way, way illegal.
Did it affect your voting at all?
No, because I have a voter registration card
Yeah.
for my Tennessee. My car's registered here. I just didn't have a license.
That's hilarious.
There's my confession.
That's pretty good.
That's pretty lame.
Yeah, I know it's not. It's not like it's not like felony level stuff.
Yeah.
You got something?
Well, I got one that could have potentially been felony level stuff back in the day. No,
I like these, by the way.
I know,
these are
but
better.
I don't know if I've shared this. If I have, it was a couple years ago. But the short of it is, one of my first jobs outside of detasseling corn was a paper route. And have I shared this?
You've shared about having a paper route. But
okay,
go.
so the short of it,
I had one too.
we had it was winter time. It was in Muncie, Indiana. We had I was on a route that there was quite a few pretty wealthy people, and there was one house that had this huge picture window in it. Do you remember this? And so everybody always tipped really well. Like they would always like give you something for Christmas or whatever. And this, probably the richest people didn't. They didn't even give me $1 extra or anything. So I was kind of upset. So me and my cousins decided that we would. We were just walking around town, and it was that time of year where it's like snowy but slushy kind of snow, right?
Yeah,
you can make a
yeah.
hard snowball.
Oh yeah.
And we made a really hard snowball, and we chucked that thing, and it broke that window.
Oh.
And we ran for our lives.
Yeah, I bet you did.
And my mom and dad both passed away without ever me confessing that to them.
So now it's out in the world.
It is. It's been out in the world. I mean, it was kind of a, this was 30 years ago, but it was there was in the newspaper, and like it was a big deal. Yeah, like I was.
It was in the newspaper. In Muncie,
I
Indiana.
had to hide out. Yeah. So, not really hide out, but I was scared. I thought I was going to jail for the rest of my life. So
that's a good one.
Yeah, I think I'm past the statute of limitations.
On
that for now.
Past,
so.
Oh,
come on, Kev.
That's a pretty big window.
It was a big window.
Let's see. Just one.
Yeah.
Okay.
Just for sake of time.
Just for the sake of time. This probably was the most deliberate sidestepping of authority that I've done. So I was a high school senior. My brother was a freshman at River Falls, Wisconsin, playing football.
Mm-hmm.
And he and a few buddies got into some kind of fight at a bar. And so they got arrested.
Yeah. And
they were in the state barracks up at River Falls. You're wondering where this is going, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. And he had no money for bail, and he had no way to get out. And he was afraid to call my parents.
Yep.
So he called me. How he got me that day is beyond me, because there was just a landline.
Yeah.
One
no
landline,
cell phones.
and I happened to answer the phone, and it was the
police.
Police said, "Hey, is this the Dixon residence?" I said, "Yeah," and they tell me who they are. Do you know a day? They go through the whole routine. I said, "Yeah, I know he is. Yeah." And he's here, and he wants somebody to come and bail him out, and then he wants to talk to you. So the cop's holding the phone, and Dave goes, "Whatever you do, do not tell mom and dad where I am."
That's hilarious.
I said, "I don't have $200. I don't have $200 to come bail you out with. So put the cop back on." So he puts the cop back on, and I said, "How much money do I have to have?" And he goes, $175 will do. I said, "I don't have $175. So we're going back and forth. So anyway, long story short, I
stole.
Stoled. I borrowed.
That's the twist.
There it is.
I thought it was going to be I didn't tell my parents. I was like, that's not
too.
a confession.
But
you stole money. That's good. I like that.
Do you like that one?
Yeah,
That's
I did
good.
like that one. The twist at the end was good.
Wow. Where'd you steal it from?
My parents.
Oh, okay.
Like the purse? Like you went in your mama's purse?
Oh, no. My mom never carried that kind of money. Only my dad carried that kind of money.
When you're talking, this is 40 years ago too, right?
More 50. Than that.
70 probably.
Yeah,
80
70 years ago.
I mean, we're going
back in the 1850s.
So 175.
It was wampum.
Within
traded.
I had $50.
Okay, so you
because I said to the cop, "I got $50." He
Yeah.
goes, "That's not going to do it."
You need
Damn it. So
175 more.
I had to find $125. And I knew my dad probably had $100 in his. I knew where to get that.
Yeah.
So then I was down to 25.
Yep.
Then I went to my mom's purse.
Okay. It was
on a Sunday afternoon, and they were taking a nap.
Oh my gosh.
This was a multi-stage.
There's a lot of
theft.
confessions happening in this
So
one.
So then I've got to get off work.
Yeah.
Because I got to go, because I usually worked on Sunday night. So I called my boss and said, look, I got to do this thing for my brother. He goes, what happened? So I told him what happened.
Oh, you told him?
Oh, he didn't care.
Okay. Yeah.
He would have been like, well, you should have asked me for the money.
Was that
I didn't think of that.
Is that the pizza place?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Fritz goes, yeah, well, okay, I'll see if I can cover it for you. Great.
Oh
So
my gosh.
I had to
dude.
drive 2 hours on my motorcycle because I didn't my car wouldn't have gone that far.
I bet you guys looked awesome riding back too.
Oh my God.
That's a good story.
That's hilarious. I like that, Cass.
So dumb.
It's a good one.
Confession.
I told Dave, I said, you're paying
Yeah,
mom and dad
exactly.
back. I'm not.
Oh. Did he?
I have no idea.
Huh?
Don't care. They're
Did they-
both dead. Dave's still alive, but he probably doesn't even remember.
Did they ever circle around and go, any of you guys know about this missing?
My mom did.
She
Ah.
did. And?
I said, no.
See, this is... oh, what a tangled web we weave.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
Yes.
You know, I could look at my mom and lie straight face.
Sure.
Yeah.
If you have to.
No, even if I didn't.
If you wanted to.
You were good at it.
But it's good. All right. So we put it all out there.
We need discipline.
Now we need church discipline.
Now
All
we
right.
need, yeah.
So
I'm sending this to the elders.
That's right.
Go for it.
do you want to...
I got worse things than that.
Oh yeah.
Oh, yeah. Do you want to read the
How'd you
or
know?
summarize, or do you
That-
want to just off the top of your head summarize from?
I am willing.
You don't have to if you.
I'll summarize.
Yeah,
There
yeah,
you go.
got
that's better.
We got a text after our conversation around conflict, and this gentleman grew up in Lancaster, Pennsylvania, which is Amish country, and he had 3 siblings that were disciplined by the church. And those 3 siblings don't really want to have anything to do with church anymore. Mm-hmm. And so the question was, he's trying to figure out how to have dialogue around this. Is there a good way to do it? Is there a way that's better than what they experienced? And is there something unique about Lancaster, Pennsylvania? There is. And then what psychologically happens to someone when they are church, when church discipline happens to them? So so that's the question I suppose is posed to you, Dave, because I have no idea. But it does beg a good question, like what is the purpose for it? Why do we do it? And what?
And how does it impact? Like,
Yeah, and what does it do to people?
Yeah.
And I think it does have a sobering. If it's done well, if it's done in a way that is with the intent of restoration, with the intent of, them feeling the weight of the damage to the community in which they've caused, I think it can be restorative. Mm-hmm. Oftentimes it's not. Mm-hmm. And I think in American culture today, it's irrelevant because they can leave and just go to another church.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So
That's a good
there's
point. Yeah.
there's a lost
There's it doesn't hold it. It
right
doesn't mean
because
anything.
when it's introduced right in the New Testament and there's one church in town. Mm-hmm. It's the church that the Corinths went to, or it's the church that the people of Ephesus went to. It wasn't like there were 6 other churches to choose from.
Or
There was
500.
Yeah.
And the churches were small, and they were very close knit, tight relationships.
Families.
Yeah. And so when you got disciplined in that, you needed to be restored. You needed it to be
Yeah, because it wasn't just a bunch of random people
Right.
that were
This
showing
was
up
your
at the
life.
same building. These are your community.
Yeah.
This is your community. Yeah.
And it was small.
Yeah.
And so everybody probably knew what you were doing anyway. So there's a degree of that. And so part of the struggle, I think, in American culture is to determine how the behavior of the person is actually affecting the community that they're a part of. Because that's the goal of church discipline.
It's a great point.
Is to protect the community from someone that's in it that's disrupting the unity of the community.
Mm-hmm. Good. Mm-hmm. Did either of you grow up in churches that
Did practice.
emphasize this or practice this? In a
I don't know that it
public
was
way?
necessarily emphasized, but was experienced in a moment when we were teenagers. A gal in our community got pregnant when she was 16, and the way that was handled and the way that I know she felt, and it was such shame and such isolation. Yeah. Mm-hmm. It was the opposite of what could be potentially healing or create, a restorative process or whatever. It was, it was just separating
Right.
her. It felt like separating her so she didn't, mess anybody else up.
Right,
Or,
right,
that's
right.
kind of how it felt,
Yeah.
in that way. Not at the same time holding her heart in that as well. So
That was pretty common back then.
yeah.
Back 70 years
That was
ago.
probably the biggest experience that I have with it.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah, I've had to. I had a guy in my church in Harrisburg that was single, and he preyed on married women, and so it caused some real damage to the community. It wasn't a real big church; it was only about 300 of us, and I had to tell him he couldn't come anymore because it was disruptive, and it was causing damage to those marriages and those families, and then the ripple effect was incredible. He said, "Well, I'm sorry." I said, "Yeah, I get that, and I get that, but your presence is disruptive for their children, for us, for the whole shebang. You can't come anymore. I will meet with you. I will help you. I will redirect you. I'll help you find a community. But I said, if you do this again, This is predatory behavior. That's got to stop."
Yeah.
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 Yeah, the church I grew up with did not emphasize in this way we're talking about, but I briefly went to a church in college that it seemed like every month there was some pregnant girl that had to get up in front of everybody, and that was one of the reasons
public confession
why I had to
Have us publicly confess?
leave. And why I had to confess all my sins.
Oh, you're drunk.
No, but it was part of that church culture, and that was one of the reasons why I was like, I can't continue to be a part of this church because of the way it was handled. And there's no question that churches that tend to emphasize more authoritarian leadership, more authoritarian kind of expressions of faith, also this shows up in those churches. There's a one-to-one correlation between that. So I think if we back up a step and say the idea of church discipline, and that's a term we've sort of created, not we, this podcast, but like that's church. Not a
right. It's
I don't
not
think that's
our term.
Right. I don't think that's a term that we find in the Bible per se.
Right.
It may be.
The concept is
definitely there.
Concept. Yeah.
But
remove the immoral brother who's
right.
sleeping
1 Corinthians
with
5.
But we've kind of put this
sister.
under this term of church discipline. And, so here's the thing: in any group, there needs to be rules, boundaries, limits, because that's what creates not only cohesiveness but also safety in the group.
Yeah.
And that applies to not only a church but an organization. It applies to professions. Like,
for sure.
I have in my field, there are codes of ethics and laws and rules, and if someone runs afoul of that, they really need to have some limit set on them.
Yeah.
Like there was, when I was in Charlotte, there was I think it was a psychiatrist who was like talking his female patients into canoodling with him.
Wow.
Yeah. And even though it wasn't
Dude.
overtly sexual, it was like we're kind of spooning or something, and he had some crazy like thing that he was explaining it as like, this is why this, and of course like lost his license and should have. Right.
Yes.
Yeah.
So that's the kind of thing, is like, that's a discipline process of like, no, we're here to create safety for your clients, and that needs to happen. So I think the point you made early on is, if you have a community that is interconnected and close, and you have to have rules and boundaries to keep it safe. You can't have the guy who's doing predatory behavior in the what it seems like it's evolved into in kind of late 20th century on, well, maybe even before that, is it just focuses mostly on sexual sin of like, here's this girl that got pregnant, here's this person, it's what it is, right? It's almost, it's very,
we don't discipline people for greed or overt pride or
it's always has some sort of sexual connotation, which is that's our own cultural stuff. But the idea that someone might do something that does damage to a community and needs to have boundaries and limits set on them is an okay thing. It just, the expression of it in modern culture,
the way it's played
is very poor, and it ends up being more like what you're talking about, where someone feels alienated, shamed, ostracized, and it pushes them away. So your point that you made, Kevin, earlier about restorative processes, I think would be the goal.
For sure.
It's just we don't have a lot of good models of that.
We don't. I think especially when you're talking about Lancaster County, Pennsylvania, from the Puritans, there's a lot of holiness movement. Amish come out of a strict view of behavioral modification. So does
shunning and
yeah.
I mean, it's
a lot of shunning.
Yeah,
a lot of shunning. Mennonites are the same way, and that is like a stronghold for that particular brand of Christianity. And it doesn't just it seeps into all the churches around because people grow up in it. And then they migrate to the churches in, like, this is too, like, they'll say the church I grew up in is too legalistic, and then they'll go to another church, but they may tone down their legalism,
but
they bring it with them. And so what you experience in that area is and a lot of shame around sex. There's just a lot of shame around it, so they don't talk about it. A lot of shame around just any kind of overt, not even overt, just subtle, women dressing inappropriately, or it's a very modest area. So if somebody showed up at church and they were dressed immodestly, somebody would say something.
I'd be in trouble. I'm not immodest, I guess.
No, somebody who
you just like if a girl
just
showed
have no
up,
fashion sense.
Yeah, that's right.
In her Daisy Dukes and her halter top, somebody would go, you can't.
Yes.
You must leave.
Yeah.
So there was a expected decorum that went with it. Any kind of a language that would be outside of they would call it all taking the Lord's name in vain. When in reality, they might say a more pleasant version, like say dang or whatever. But even then they're kind of like, ooh, I shouldn't say that. So there's a degree of, I don't know how they express anger. I don't know how they express frustration. Because I think those words are helpful, to be honest with you.
Sometimes they're the only ones that work.
This one works in this moment.
You could have used some of those words this week.
I have used some of those words.
I heard a couple earlier. Man, am I blushing?
Are we confessing? But that whole thing, and then you throw church discipline into it. It was all driven by, you have to comply to our legalistic rules. It
was about conformity.
It was all about conformity. It was all about being uniform.
And this idea, or this snapshot.
Right.
Yeah.
And so when they rebel, oftentimes when they move out of that, they'll go way away from God. They will, and it sounds like that's what happened to his siblings. Was they said, okay, I don't want to have anything to do with church, anything to do with God, which I get.
Yeah.
Because that representation of who I know God to be is the wrong representation of God.
Yeah. Yeah. We had friends in Ohio, in Amish country as well. One of my best friends, his dad left the Amish church when he was 16. So, and they go sow their wild oats. What is it? Rumspringa?
Rumspringa.
So during that, he decided that he wasn't going to come back and be Amish, and so, but their family was a little different. It wasn't quite, they didn't shun in that way.
Okay.
So it was a more
he
gentle.
Could go visit?
Yeah. When I was in college, we would go visit their Amish family and stuff. So I think that was a more gentle version, but there was still always like,
stigma.
It's still, stigma.
Yeah. Yeah.
There's going back to this idea too about those things, not only to preserve conformity and uniformity, but they're also ways to preserve power structures. They're about maintaining control and having power. And John MacArthur died recently, and there's been a big pile-on with him in his death. And I will say, in my own personal experience, like I had John MacArthur commentaries on my library shelves, and there was a point where I threw them all out. But part of it is the very thing we're talking about, where there was giving a pass to men who either did or enabled very bad behavior.
Correct.
And being very harsh and controlling with women.
Yes.
Or other people who are powerless.
Yeah.
And that's exactly what we're talking about. Is
Yeah.
that's, you know, that it's less about we're keeping people safe in here and more about we're preserving
Right.
our ability to be in control.
Yeah.
And our ability to be the person that dictates things.
It's a control memechanism.
It is a control mechanism.
Yeah.
And so I think that's the difference. It's like if it's coming from a place of authoritarianism and control and so on, then clearly we're way off track. If it's coming from a place of we need to create true safety for other people in this community or look out for the well-being of this person
restorative,
who's struggling,
That's different.
it is different.
Yeah.
But again, it's hard to find good examples of that. There are. I've seen it.
And I can
I
imagine
have seen it, but it's hard to find.
I can imagine that's really hard to trust too, because there aren't many good examples of that. You know?
Yeah. I just as a sidelight, trying to get to the psychological piece of this. I was part of a baseball team when I was 14. I loved baseball, and I lost my mind for a minute. At 14,
For a minute.
A minute.
No, it was a good minute.
Oh, okay.
It might have been longer.
All right.
But I struck out.
Oh,
You flipped out.
I did. I chucked the bat.
You struck out, then flipped out.
I did, and I got tossed, and the ump was nice, actually, really nice. He thought it was funny.
yeah.
So, and I remember his face. He goes, "Son, you're done." That was how he kicked me out.
Yeah.
And then my coach come around the corner, and he lit me. I mean, in front of I lit me up.
Yeah.
Deserved some of it, not all of it.
Okay.
And then he kicked me off the team.
Oh,
Kicked you off the team.
Kicked me off the
Like you're
team.
done.
Wow.
Done.
Wow.
I never played
I
baseball
was going to ask
again.
that question if you played again.
I never played again.
Yeah.
I love baseball,
Yeah.
and I never played again.
Yeah, that's a good example, a good metaphor for what we're talking about.
I think psychologically something happened to me that day.
Yeah.
For sure.
That's, I've never heard that one, Kev.
Well,
Yeah.
you
I mean,
know,
yeah. But it
it's
was impactful.
there probably was something else going on in my life during that moment that I can't remember. That because normally you strike out and I'm like,
Yeah, you get mad. And,
a couple words here and
Yeah.
there, and all right.
yeah.
But I lost
You
my
lost it, yeah.
mind rather than somebody stepping in and go, "Are you all right?" Because this seems out of character.
It was just you're out.
Yeah,
You're out.
I was removed.
It was a lack of compassion, a
That's-
lack of
Understanding or
empathy, and all the
curiosity.
things.
And yeah.
Yeah. Thankfully, my dad never came to the game, so that was.
So you were still
I was
living
I
after
was
the
still
game.
alive
Yeah,
after that. Yeah. I just had to explain why I stopped playing.
And did you lie about it?
I did. Well,
I mean, you
Thanks
knew.
for asking.
You knew. There's another confession.
True Confessions
Yeah.
Day.
so anyway,
Wow.
but I honestly think that is that moment or whatever happened to me in that moment. I associated
Did
it with
something to you.
baseball. So
Oh yeah, it was a shaming, harsh
Yeah.
moment that just right.
Totally.
So yeah, and that's a good metaphor for what we're talking about with the
Yeah.
church community,
Yeah.
and that's what people experience, right? Is that
Yeah.
when people are, let's say, do something that is wrong, and the response to them is a certain harshness, controlling response,
Yeah.
then that's what I think is likely to happen, like your
Right.
example. What people talk about is this idea of religious trauma, which we haven't really dedicated time to. I have some thoughts about it that I'll hold for now.
Yeah.
But
Be a good combo.
yeah, and I might not line up with a
That's
lot
okay.
of the but a lot of times people talk about having religious trauma because of being confronted and being treated in a certain way. And what I would say is that ultimately that's not an issue of discipline, boundaries, limits. It's about what we're talking about with, were they controlled or attempted to be controlled? Were they treated harshly compared to were they loved? Was there an attempt to restore in a healthy, good way? And to be honest, there are times when people are behaving badly, have very bad insight about that, and need to have a limit set on them so that they don't harm other people. And they're never going to be okay with that.
Right.
They're never going to reflect on that and go, that was the right thing to do.
Yeah.
They're going to feel like they were harmed.
They got the
in
shaft.
that.
Yeah.
So I guess where I want to take this in the last minutes is, do we have any ideas about what a restorative process could look like?
Sure.
Either things you've seen or things you're like, this is what it would look like if somebody is in error or poses a risk or a threat or whatever. What's it look like?
Okay, just one caveat, and then caveat to this is most people never get to this conversation in the church because they leave when they realize they've been found out. So then you can extend. Sam and I have done this even here.
Yeah.
Hey, we'd love to sit and talk to you about what happened, and the crickets are loud. Like, nope, not interested.
No, thank you.
And then they just go to another church, which perpetuates, I believe, the problem, which is part of the issue of North American.
But it's also
church.
Understandable to a certain extent because it's rare that you ever see that done well. So there's probably in their mind, what's this going to be? And there's fear probably,
Right. And so what you're looking for in I'm going to use the word confrontation of sin in people's lives is humility. You're looking for contriteness. You're looking for the willingness to say, hey, yeah, I'll own that and I'll move forward. So I've worked through a number of those things without discipline is what happens when somebody is unwilling to own.
That's right.
Unwilling to move in the direction of, hey, I need to repent. I shouldn't have done this. When they justify it, when they are defensive, when there isn't an opportunity to say to the person that they offended or hurt, I'm really sorry. I shouldn't have done that. Can we work this out? That's when you start getting into this arena of, okay, if you don't move in that direction, then we have to do something different. We're going to have to limit your exposure to people.
Can I interject?
Yeah.
Would you say, though, that the underlying idea would be done if either the person poses some harm to themselves by continuing in it or to other
Others.
people in the community?
Yes.
Or would you say that would be true of any kind of, let's say, sin that someone didn't repent of? Like
potentially, sure. Potentially, I think. Potentially, if my ongoing greed somehow doesn't ever get addressed by the community, then the assumption is that the community is okay with my greed. So it becomes part and parcel of the community. So there's a degree of, or if fill in the blank, there has to be a sense of this is what it means to be focused on the center. This is what it means to progress towards Jesus. And part of that is being, I need to be less this way and more this way. And sometimes the only way you see your blind spot is somebody say, hey, I think you have a blind spot. I think. But
this is what, I don't have a formed idea on this. But
I don't think it leads necessarily to discipline. I think it leads to the cultivation of the heart.
Okay, well, that might be different then.
Okay.
Because what I'm wrestling with in my head is, like, if it is about, a guideline would be if it's harmful to the person to continue.
Right.
Like, let's say they've got a wicked addiction that's going it's going to destroy them and their family.
Yeah.
Or if it's harmful to individuals in your community or the community
at large.
Writ large.
Yep.
That makes good sense.
Yeah.
Right? But if it's open beyond that, then it puts us in a position of, like, we root out everybody's sin in their life.
For sure.
Right?
Everybody's got sin in their life.
And then we have to discipline, right? That feels like we're kind of back to the authoritarian idea. And I'm not saying I've got this fully formed in my head, but that's what I'm wondering is it really, does it rise to that level when it involves harm? In not in an abstract way, but in a very real way.
Right. The idea of greed, you could see it taking a toll on somebody's life. You can see it take a toll on their spouse or their family or whatever.
But maybe not. That's what's interesting.
Right. And maybe not. Right? Maybe their greed is actually making them successful.
Right.
And there isn't an impact. But if it starts to harm the community and it starts harming their family, I think in some ways the question should be asked. If we care about them, if we really do care about the plight of that person.
Well, and that's why we try and be in community, actually living life with one another in that way as much as possible.
I'm not saying it'll lead to discipline. What I'm saying is that,
and that's not a small distinction, because that's what I'm like.
Okay.
It's an easy sell for me to hear if someone's doing something that you feel like isn't in line with a life of Jesus following.
Right.
That let's have conversation about it in a open, curious kind of way.
In a relational way.
Relational way.
What we're talking about is what things rise to this level of like, okay, you are hard-hearted, you're a stiff-necked Israelite, or whatever the term is.
But usually what happens is,
and we're going to do discipline.
The offended, this is the normal process in which this should happen. An offended person, that somewhere in the community, something happens to them. Let's say, I don't know. Let's just, I'm trying to take it out of the sexual environment, but I'm having a hard time doing it. But let's say they are offended in some way, whatever that way is, and somebody sinned against them. Their obligation as the offended person is to go to them and talk to them. That's the first step.
Okay.
If they do that and the person repents and they're good to go. Lest there need to be restoration or whatever, or reparations, either of those things. But let's say the person goes, nope, didn't do it, don't want to own it. Then you take it another step. The next step is to involve another person that saw this happen or somehow is aware of this. So you bring them along, bring your friend, bring them along and say, hey, this happened. This is my witness. They saw it happen. Nope, not going to. Well, then you get the church involved. Then the church becomes involved in somehow, some way. I've sat on mediations for these kind of things. I've sat on a number of.
But there's an inherent in the example, even though you're talking abstractly or vaguely. There's an inherent harm because it involves another person.
Right.
That has been harmed in some way.
Correct.
Right. So I buy that.
Like against another.
Yeah.
In that way.
Yeah.
Like our own sin that we all deal with day to day, I think when those things come to a place where it's impacting somebody else, that's worth the conversation, and it's worth it because it's impacting you, but it's a different conversation.
But if that person holds out, this is where I say it usually doesn't get this far. Usually after an encounter with one of the pastors or an encounter with, hey, this has come to our attention, you've harmed somebody in the community in some way, and we sit and talk with them, 9 times out of 10, I would argue they leave the community.
Right.
Without moving towards restoration. But our goal being, hey, let's get this right. Yeah. Can you come to this, own it, seek forgiveness, and let's move on.
Yeah.
Most of the time, I would say almost all the time, we never get to that stage because people will leave before we.
You're not allowed to.
Not allowed to.
Yeah. Yeah.
That's and it's sad because I think we are truncating our ability to handle conflict. We're truncating our own relational capacity, and we only want to be around people who let me get away with whatever I want.
Yeah,
which is unhealthy
for sure.
Right.
Yeah, and Sam made the good point too. Since we don't, and I'm not saying this local church, but any like church in general. We don't have good models of it.
No.
And so if you're on the receiving end of that, you have to be able to trust.
Yep.
Like, there's a lot of things that happen. First, you've got to be willing to kind of reflect on yourself, receive input, be humble. But then you've also got to trust that people are going
to do right by you.
Not harm you in that process.
Right.
So
hard to do.
It's hard to establish that.
And I would argue the larger the church is, the harder it is
for
to
sure.
do.
Yeah.
The more that we have relationship with people, the easier it is. It's not easy.
That's right.
But it's more likely to happen.
And oftentimes through relationship, it never comes to that place because you're
handling,
lovingly,
you're handling it way back in the process.
In relationship rather than
And oftentimes what happens in churches is they triangulate people. They get other people involved in the thing, but ultimately, what I through my little baseball experience, I I really miss my friends when it was all said and done, and I was too embarrassed to ever go back.
Yeah.
And that's
a lot of shame.
Yeah. And that's the psychological piece for me that I never got resolved.
Right.
Yeah.
Because that was not a restorative process. It's not like you've shown your butt here and now you need to do some things to kind of work this out.
Right.
It was like
it wasn't even an opportunity. You're just out.
It was just out.
Mm-hmm.
Yep.
Yeah.
And I feel that's the way most of the
awesome.
time church discipline happens.
Well, one thing I'll add to that, what I saw with this other church, this has been many years ago, was that it was done under the guise of being loving, but it wasn't.
Right.
It was done as this sort of like, we love them and that's why we're bringing, but it was really like they're being humiliated
That's right.
publicly. They're being kind of, it was often people that had family ties in the church that made it very easy, hard for them to leave.
Yeah.
And
just
so,
another power over move.
right. And so it
makes me
it can be portrayed as a loving thing,
right?
But it often is not. And so that's really the trick, is to do it in a way that is genuinely loving and compassionate.
Yeah.
That's right.
That's
good.
it. Yeah. Well, hopefully that answers some question. I don't know if it answers the question. And here's the moral of the story. Don't move to Lancaster County.
Okay.
Have a great day.
Thanks for listening to this episode of Journey on My Mind. If you enjoyed it, please help us spread the word by leaving us a review and sharing it on your social media. Journey on My Mind is a production of Journey Church in Brentwood, Tennessee. Edwin Rivera III is the show's producer with technical assistance from Randy Hansen. Grant Opperman edits the show. If you have a suggestion for a future topic or a question, you can text us at 615-861-9503. And if you would like to talk to someone about spiritual or mental health issues, you can email our care pastor, Sam Barnhart, at sam@journeytn.com.